Okay. Hey guys, what's up? This is Normal Going Above Average. I'm Josh.
Hey guys, it's Britton.
And we're here reacting to a video with PVD and Andrew Schultz. It's about trans rights. Should you call them a man or woman? I don't know. What do you think?
We're gonna kind of get into it as we watch the video, but basically, if I call you Susan, even though you were born Jeremy Bartholomew III, aka a man, is that just common courtesy, or am I violating like what I foundationally believe, and is this something much deeper and sinister? But help us figure that out. We're gonna get into it, guys.
Congressman got up and speaks, and they were upset because somebody called him sir. You know which one I'm talking about, Rob?
Yes,
that this
Self.
happened? Yeah. I mean, they still don't want to give that up. That's a dude, right?
That's a dude.
Which one? Which one? The senator? Or there's a congressman that's trans? Is that what you're saying?
Of course there is.
This one right
watch
here.
This. Go for it.
I recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr. Chairman,
Madam
could you
Chair.
repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman?
the standard.
Would you repeat what you just said when
I-
you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America? Please.
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Boom.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, have you no decency?
Okay.
I mean, I've come to
Which
know
one
you
is
a little
Mr.
bit, but this is
McBride?
not-
All the way on the right.
Right here.
Can you pull up the picture of
Me
Mr.
and
McBride?
Lisa
Yeah.
Real
looks.
quick, Josh, is that just what happens? Can you not unsee it? No matter how many fake titties they get, can you not unsee it? Or can you be like, you know what? That Dr. Miami guy put a good set of tits on you, Richard. You're now Penelope.
No, I couldn't do it.
You can't unsee.
Nah, I can't do it because
Some people can, and it's different, and it's like a whole reality and thing for them.
My thing is like, if you can't take it all the way, then don't take it at all. So if
So basically, you'll recognize the effort if they completely just cut it off.
no, like okay, if Shaquille O'Neal all of a sudden decided to say he's a woman now, who would recognize him as a woman? Nobody would. Nobody in the right
Joshua.
mind would be like,
Okay, but
that's
Joshua-
a woman?
Nope.
Nobody's gonna
Guess what
do
though? A
that.
lot of people would say, "Hi, Mrs. Shaq." They're not gonna do that. But,
So she's a trans woman,
Yeah.
right?
Trans woman.
So like, this is the thing that actually I think is where everybody loses. If she wants to identify as like a woman, and you want to call her, and that's what she wants you to call her, just fucking call her a woman. It's not
gonna happen.
okay. Let me make the whole argument.
Please make the argument.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
so curious what this.
Let me make the whole argument.
Give it to us.
I don't think the average person thinks that much about trans, especially the average conservative person. What I think the frustration was, and now they shouldn't have that frustration because now they're in power, but I think the frustration was, for years, they felt like there was a lot of, there's a lack of, I think, common sense is the rhetoric that you're seeing now from the right, that there was a lack of common sense with like Democrat ideology and the things they were pushing through. And trans is just the highest rung of the ladder. So it would start at something like this, and this is what a lot of my friends were hearing. It's like, we don't call people Latinos or Latinas. We call them Latinx. And then you would go to your friends and you'd be like, what do you, like, yo, do y'all want to be called Latinx? And they'd be like, I don't even know what the fuck that is, right? And then you'd go back to your work and be like, yeah, I spoke to some of my Spanish friends that they don't even know what Latinx is. And then the reaction is, how dare you? What are you, some bigot? That's racist. Stop being so insensitive. So immediately you get taken back. You go, okay, wow. I was just asking questions. I spoke to my Spanish friends. They said that they don't even want to be called that. But all right, this kind of feels weird, but I'm not going to push back. Then you find out that like a drag queen is teaching English at your school or something like that, which I know is blown out of proportion, but still you hear a story about it and you're like, you just go into the school, you're like, hey, just out of curiosity, why is there like a drag queen like teaching the kindergartners how to read? What is that about? How dare you? What are you, some bigot? But they're a performer. We have performers come in here all the time. Be like, okay, I'm just asking a question. You keep calling me a bigot. And the feeling, the emotional feeling for like the parent or the person in that situation is, hey, this doesn't really make sense. And everybody's kind of pretending. And then the final rung of that ladder is trans women competing in women's sports, right? And I think that not that many people are actually really caring about trans people or thinking about them every single day, but it's like it's the argument that is infallible. You present it to your friend that is like, staunchly Democratic. You present it to your congressman. You're like, hey, do you think this is unfair? You made me feel like a bigot with the Latinx thing. You made me feel weird about the drag queen thing. But this is 1 + 1 = 2.
The big thing I think that Schultz is hitting on right now is the Democratic Party took the most controversial, inflammatory, and hard to understand subject for the everyday layman and conflated, and then the Republican Party conflated that issue with importance. Just because they put it as the face of basically the morality and trying to put that agenda on everyone, the real world application of dealing with people that think differently or that are trans is a much smaller issue in your day-to-day, in my opinion. That's why I don't have an issue calling someone a woman or Jimmy the Frog. I don't care, as long as we both can come from a place of mutual respect. And if we can, maybe we do have that conversation and they do get to know me and understand that maybe I don't consent to their lifestyle, but I've broken down that barrier of common courtesy to say I see you as a person. And with this issue, it's like seeing the person is gone. We see talking pundits. We see Fox News, CNN, when people say, "Hi, my name's Jessica and I'm a girl." Instead of seeing, okay, this guy is clearly on a different type of ideology and outlook in the world that I don't think is that conducive to traditionalism or what is true. But I don't know. I just feel like this is an 80-20 issue that the right is now going to die on and actually hurt themselves because they're in a position now to punch down, actually.
Well, you would have a point if there weren't crazies on the other side. That's my whole point. So you give them a little wiggle room. They start trying to change everything into this liberal ideology. What's perfect? What's not going to harm the flies? Like, okay, Latina. All right, now it's Latinx. So anything they grab a hold of, they're just going to push it to the furthest extent. To the furthest extent. So it doesn't really
Like be extreme.
Yeah, it's gonna be extreme no matter what they do, pretty much. So with this, it could be even more extreme in the future. So in a way, is the right's perspective on this, like for me, the right's perspective on this, as far as common courtesy goes, is a little extreme. You're telling me if I meet with a politician in Austin, Texas, I don't know if they're still on the council, but we had basically a trans individual in our local government. And if I need to address change or talk to them about an issue that they're in charge of, I'm gonna say, oh, hey, Brad, XYZ, this is what I need done. No, that's counterproductive in any way as far as my relationship with them and any type of goal I would need accomplished if I had to have someone's help. I don't know, but I do. You're right, though. I mean, it's a slippery slope.
Delusion everywhere.
And if you refute that, it's actually very comforting for the conservative because you go, oh, this whole time I was being gaslit into thinking I was the crazy person, when in reality, you're not operating on like an honest playing field. You're caught up in the ideology. So I think that's really what it is. So I don't care if some trans person wants me to call them a woman. Like, I'm going to call you a woman. I'm not going to like put my fucking foot down about it. I don't give a fuck.
If I told you right now, call me daddy, would you call me daddy?
No.
Why not?
Well, because
call
you're
me
not
daddy,
my dad.
Andrew.
But you're not my dad.
But I want you to call me daddy. I view myself as your daddy.
Well, but you're not my dad.
Yeah, we need to pause on that one.
We need to pause on that one.
He
What?
told another man to call him daddy. With the serious face, and he looks pissed off too. He's like, I told you to call me daddy. Would you call me daddy?
Then Andrew's face, he's like, he right now, you can see his mind working like, he actually did come off with a false equivalent and a not exactly respectful equivalent.
There's a little diss.
A little diss in
saying,
there.
Call me daddy.
Let's see how he handles this.
But you're right. They're
Yeah.
not. She's not a man.
But if you want
she's
me,
not a woman.
But if
she's
you
a
wanted
man.
me to call you son, I would call you son.
And here we
Got him
go.
back right there.
Yeah, he got a little jab.
Yeah, I get what you're doing. You're having fun with it, right?
No, I'm not. It doesn't affect me at all. Calling me
son-
daddy insults my dad.
Yeah, but
But,
calling you ma'am insults my intelligence. It insults science. It insults facts. It insults, an actual, you were born a man. You want me to call you a woman because it hurts your feelings?
So this is where I think
It's-
about, like, and obviously I don't think there's ever going to be like a version of us like getting some understanding of this, but like I think the greater concern is this becoming a social trend and there being like young influential kids that start making decisions about their body that are irreversible. And as a parent, I obviously have a concern about that, right? Because you start taking these hormones, you start lopping shit off your body, you're not going to get that back. Like this is like a really dangerous potentially situation. But if you ask me if there are 8 billion people on the planet, right? 8 billion people on the planet, and I see a person born with a foot coming out of their head on Instagram every other fucking day, weird shit happens.
Sure.
To me, the weirdest shit, body dysmorphia or whatever it is, or gender dysmorphia, like to me, that's not like unbelievable. If 8 billion people on the planet, God, there are kids born with fucking cancer. Like there are crazy things that happen in our existence, and that's not even close to one of the craziest.
but this is...
You know what this almost seems like too? Like Kanye.
Yeah.
How people expect so much from him, and he's clearly mentally not well. 10 seconds into the DJ Academics interview, he came in with his black KKK cloak.
I know.
And then we're saying, how dare you? No, he's off the rocker. At this point, his life is, unfortunately, he's like a muse for the public in a kind of messed up
he's
way.
kind of a clown almost. in a
And
sense now.
To Andrew's point, I think he's actually talking about the mental health aspect, because I believe Patrick McDavid, the whole PBD squad, they're viewing this through such a politically charged lens that they can't see that there are people who legitimately feel this way and have a mental aspect going on with it where they could need help.
That may be the case.
But then there's others though who are taking advantage of it. There's others who want to be morally more valorant than others and use it to posture for righteousness or social credit or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, because you have a lot of intelligent people, professors and scientists who all agree with the whole trans movement. And so it's a real collective of humanity that does fight for trans rights. It's not just like some fling thing, or like, oh, we're here to protect the people who are mentally disabled. Look, they have a foot grown. One person has a foot grown out of their head, and there's a trans person. No, they're not in the same category. Trans people are being treated like normal human beings, except with caveats of certain privileges that they want to impose on the public, whereas controlling your language around them, just different things like that, how you address them, how you should do this. And so it puts like them in a whole new special human category that not even women have themselves.
But I want to hit on something you just said though, because you said you have other people, scientists, legitimate philosophers, different people that are supporting this. So in a way, let's just go with the premise that, okay, maybe there might be something wrong mentally. Again, live your life. I do not care.
Yeah.
But let's acknowledge what things are. So it very well might be that there might be something wrong with these people, and we're not able to treat them with the compassion and grace that we should, because legitimate intellectuals are attaching themselves to the people that do need help and now legitimizing the condition. So now I kind of get why I guess PPD sees it how he sees it, because there's all of these other things attached to it, but he's still, in my opinion, missing the human.
Yeah, if you say they have a mental disorder, that's transphobic. So off rip, you can't even take that position that Andrew Schultz is taking. Because if you say, hey, trans people have a mental disorder the same way people have a foot growing out of their head, that's transphobic.
Crazy equivalent, Schultz.
that's transphobic.
I wouldn't say they're the same.
You know, I don't agree with that, but like that's that's what's going on right now.
Yeah,
that's the reality. So I understand PBD's like hostilities towards it, because it'll just grow and grow and grow, and it'll become like some sacred cow or something in the future.
Or is it the time for the right now to take back the N-word? No, not that. The conversation. Because they're excluding themselves out of it completely, saying we don't even want to have it. We don't even want to have this conversation with these mentally ill, if you will, people.
Yeah.
But if you aren't having the conversation, then we're cutting off progress to speech, because these people aren't going anywhere.
No.
People are still going to be born confused. People are still going to be born, hermaphrodites, all of that kind of stuff.
Asexual.
Yeah,
et
there's
cetera.
People are different. And we'll go to the Bible. Apostle Paul, the gift of celibacy ain't a gift, Goofy. It's being asexual.
I know.
That's what that means. It does not mean God came down and helped your spirit and now you're
It's
superpowers.
ridiculous. No.
Stupid, because he made you a certain way to build something.
Yeah.
Most men he made to create an infrastructure for family, if you believe in that more traditional model.
Yeah.
Not to just have that gift. But again, that's an orientation for Apostle Paul, who's in the Bible. People do not talk about that. So I don't know. Let's see where this goes.
This is a different story.
This is a different story, because this is not something that happens naturally. This is something that happens 5, 10, 15, 20 years into your life, where you want to play dress up. How many days a year is Halloween? 1 day a year. But you want to play Halloween and dress up every single day. And you want me to pretend that you're a leprechaun or a ghost or a donkey.
Again, he said this is not something that happens naturally. It happens 5, 10, 15, 20. No, there's people that are confused from jump. And then there's others who are narcissistic or have emotional issues, and this comes out in a dysfunctional way.
Yeah.
Through like this.
Every single day.
We have
of
a
the year.
disagreement, I think, when it comes to like leprechaun or ghost or daddy or any of those things. I think that we're on the same page.
He makes me call him daddy every single day. It's fine. I do it.
I get it.
But go ahead, Andrew. Go
But
ahead.
I get emails from daddy.
Another dry joke from Adam.
Okay, that it was a moment of some emotional intelligence from Adam, though, just to recognize that there was that tension in the room and to go back and to revisit that and try to be playful.
Yeah.
He just wasn't funny. So
Yeah, everybody was.
it didn't go over well. Nothing happened.
I guess what I'm saying is like where this is like a perfect example of like where the conversation gets lost and both sides kind of can't unify. Like another example is even like Doge. Like I don't think that there's any American that is for waste, bloat, and like overspending. Like I don't think any American is like, I believe in that, outside the ones profiting from it.
Yep.
Right? But because the issue has become so like antagonistic, now you got people lighting up fucking Tesla dealerships, and it's like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a bipartisan supported issue. Like we should come together on this and go, hey, let's find the right way to do it. I mean, maybe doing it with the hatchet or whatever, Elon and Doge have been doing isn't the best way, but let's find a way to make sure that our government agencies are refined and, lean, if you will. I think all Americans can support that. When we get into like the trans, there's a lot of emotional things that are going on here, which I get. There's a lot of like, religiosity that informs it also. I get that, but the core agreement, like I think it's more about like who is being hurt, right? I don't want to see these girls compete against these people who are born as men. I don't want to see that. Whether some fucking barista wants to put on makeup and say her name is like Sally, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm not in your life. Stay out of mine. That's the way I look about it. When it becomes a social trend and I have to worry about these things with my kid, and the school is told to affirm whatever gender they say, now you're in my life.
How old's your oldest?
I have one kid, 13 months old.
Okay, so when the 13 becomes 13,
Yeah.
and conversations at night when you go home changes,
Of course.
your level of tolerance for these things will change.
Dude,
Let me-
Yeah. This is where I think it's really important. Yeah.
So the part for me, like for example, the other day this guy says, "I don't give a shit."
It's kind of funny. They're at two different stages of fatherhood. And that's basically what he's breaking down to him. It's like, okay, your relationship with your kids will change as they get older, and the dynamics will change. You know.
So the love you have for the people in your life will inform your political opinion and shape it, is kind of what he's getting at. And I can kind of see that, but I honestly do not see Andrew Schultz or anyone for the most part of that ilk changing their opinion unless something more gross were to happen, where the school comes in and is way all up in your business, and maybe your child says they believe one way and then the school says no, you can't. Now we have a whole thing, and now we have room for multiple parties to be jaded and all that kind of stuff. But any closing thoughts, my friend?
Nope, that's it.
All right, well, hey, thanks for chilling with us, gang. Where being normal is going above average, staying informed, staying knowledgeable, and considering our fellow man. You have a good day.
Great day.